Stop whatever you're doing. What I'm about to share will either change your life forever, or you'll dismiss it and remain in the same place for the next decade. Just 3 days ago, I watched a man spend 20 minutes explaining himself to someone who had zero respect for him, seeking validation from a person completely unworthy of his time. This isn't rare. These men exist everywhere. Maybe one of them is you. Maybe you see yourself in this story. Maybe you're fed up with being ignored, underestimated, and treated as though you don't matter. Your lack of confidence isn't a flaw you were born with. It's a condition you were programmed to believe in. You were trained, shaped, and molded to be predictable, controllable, and manageable. But over 5 centuries ago, one man uncovered the real rules of power, influence, and dominance, the one society never teaches. His name? Machiavelli. He wrote the ultimate guide to becoming untouchable. I'm talking about becoming the man who commands every room he enters. The man who speaks once and is heard by all. The man whose limits are respected without question. The man who cannot be manipulated, intimidated, or stopped. Someone who exudes authority naturally, operates on a higher plane, and plays by rules others don't even comprehend. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you 8 principles that will elevate you from someone who is overlooked to someone who demands attention. From someone who begs for respect to someone who commands it effortlessly. From someone hoping for luck to someone preparing for greatness. Warning, once you see these truths, there's no turning back. Once you understand how influence really works, none of it becomes impossible. Once you become unstoppable, you can never settle for being stoppable again. Now, comment this affirmation. I refuse to be held back. I refuse to be stopped. Are you ready to step into the realm of the unstoppable? Transform your inner world. Inside, you live 2 distinct versions of yourself, and the fate of your life depends on which one you feed each day. One of these selves is hesitant, apologetic, and constantly desperate for approval. It seeks validation from others, worries about offending people, and bends over backward to be liked, even when it comes at the cost of your dignity. The other self is confident, assertive, and exudes authority naturally. It commands respect without needing to explain why. Every choice you make, every reaction you have, and every thought you indulge either strengthens one of these selves or allows the other to grow weaker. Up until now, your hesitant self has probably had the upper hand, quietly steering your life toward compromise, uncertainty, and mediocrity. Today, however, you make a conscious choice. Today, you starve the hesitant self and feed the confident one. Your hesitant self is not inherently bad. It is a product of everything you have been taught to value since childhood. It was shaped by parents who wanted you to be obedient, teachers who demanded compliance, and a society that prized predictability, manageability, and control. Its voice has always been present, whispering instructions like be nice, even when someone disrespects you, or apologize, even when you have done nothing wrong, or explain yourself to people who owe you no explanation and who will never appreciate it. These messages were repeated over and over until they became automatic, until the hesitant self became the default pilot of your life. But the world does not reward hesitation, compliance, or perpetual apology. The world rewards impact, decisiveness, and the man who refuses to be invisible. Manageable men, those who follow every rule and avoid conflict at all costs, rarely leave a mark. They are overlooked, forgotten, and replaced without notice. Your hesitant self has dictated the choices you make for years. It is the reason you tolerate disrespect without pushing back. The reason you give people endless chances that they do not deserve. And the reason you put the needs of everyone else above your own. It is the reason you are spending your time here passively consuming advice instead of actively creating the life you want. It is the self that convinces you that caution, apology, and over-explanation are virtues, when in reality, they are chains holding you back from becoming the man you were meant to be. Here's the truth. your hesitant self won't tell you. Every time you prioritize someone else's comfort over your own dignity, you lower your own value in their eyes, and, more importantly, in your own. Every time you allow someone to cross your boundaries, you are teaching them that your limits are negotiable, that your worth is optional, and that you are someone who can be taken advantage of. Machiavelli, the master of understanding human behavior and power, said, "He who is not master of himself will always be a servant of others." Every moment you defer to the hesitant self, you are choosing servitude over mastery, compliance over command, and invisibility over influence. It is crucial to learn to recognize the language of these two selves. When your hesitant self speaks, it sounds like this: "I don't want to hurt them." And your confident self responds, "I will not compromise my standards." When the hesitant self says, "Maybe I misunderstood," your confident self says, "I understood perfectly," and their actions are unacceptable. When the hesitant self whispers, "Give them another chance," the confident self answers, "Their chance is over, and I will not revisit it." The hesitant self seeks excuses, explanations, and reassurance, while the confident self takes deliberate action, enforces boundaries, and moves forward without second-guessing. Transformation is not about being harsh or vengeful. It is about calculated, deliberate choice. Each time someone tests your boundaries, your hesitant self wants to explain, negotiate, or soften the impact. Your confident self enforces those boundaries quietly, decisively, and without apology. Each time someone disrespects you, the hesitant self asks for reasoning, tries to understand, and attempts reconciliation that may never come. The confident self applies consequences strategically, letting actions speak louder than words. Each time your time is wasted, the hesitant self makes excuses, apologizes for inconveniences, or tries to rationalize others' behavior. The confident self protects your time like gold, valuing it above anyone else's comfort. Pay attention to the moments in your life when you feel compelled to apologize for things that are not your fault, or when you feel the urge to explain yourself to someone who owes you no explanation. These are moments when the hesitant self is in control, guiding your choices and undermining your authority. Transformation comes through conscious choice. You must choose strength over approval, respect over being liked, and influence over popularity. This is not easy. Your hesitant self will resist, throwing fear, doubt, and guilt in your path. Let it resist. Let it complain. Let it fade into the background. On the other side of that resistance is the man who occupies space without apology, who commands attention without demanding it, and who never begs for respect because he naturally earns it. Imagine for a moment the kind of man who has fully embraced his confident self. He enters a room, and people notice without him uttering a word. His posture, demeanor, and presence communicate authority, confidence, and competence. He no longer needs to explain himself. His boundaries are clear and respected automatically. His time is treated as sacred, and people adjust around him because they recognize his influence. He does not seek validation because he has mastered himself, and the world respects mastery. This is the transformation that is available to you today, starting with the simple yet radical decision to feed your confident self and starve the hesitant one. Declare this affirmation and commit to it fully. My hesitant self is transforming. My confident self is rising. Speak it, write it, embody it. Let this be your first act of rebellion against a life of quiet compromise, mediocrity, and overlooked potential. Today, you begin to take control of your inner world. And by mastering the self within, you set the stage to master every interaction, every challenge, and every opportunity the world presents. The journey from hesitant to confident is not a single step, but a series of conscious choices repeated daily until they become automatic. Every time you choose confidence over hesitation, you reinforce your strength. Every time you refuse to apologize for things that are not your fault, you deepen your authority. Every time you refuse to explain yourself to people who do not deserve it, you grow your influence. This is not just personal growth. This is transformation at the highest level. This is the foundation of becoming unstoppable. Build an impenetrable mind. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your most dangerous weakness. Right now, it is likely a battlefield of chaos, a storm of conflicting thoughts, reactions, and emotions. Criticism pierces you like arrows, setbacks feel like mountains crushing your chest, and challenges trigger a flood of panic, self-doubt, or indecision. This chaos is subtle, but it controls your life. It keeps you stuck, reactive instead of proactive, powerless instead of commanding, and at the mercy of the external world instead of mastering it. Every time you react impulsively, emotionally, or irrationally, you reinforce the very patterns that have held you back for years. Most men live in this state. They let emotions rule their decisions. Anger becomes the whip that lashes out at anyone near them. Fear becomes a cage that freezes them in place. Hurt becomes a story they replay endlessly, eroding their confidence and obscuring their judgment. Their minds are fragile, easily influenced, and perpetually reactive. But you are not most men. You are not here to drift along life's currents, subject to circumstance or other people's whims. You are here to build a fortress mind, one that is impenetrable, untouchable, and unshakable. A fortress mind does not react blindly to external stimuli. It does not erupt in anger, collapse under disappointment, or tremble in fear. Instead, it observes, analyzes, and responds strategically. Criticism becomes data, not an insult. When someone questions you, doubts you, or undermines you, your fortress mind does not recoil. It does not plead, argue, or defend. It simply registers the truth about that person, their character, their intentions, their limitations. Disappointment is no longer shocking or debilitating. It is confirmation. It is evidence that people are, as Machiavelli warned, unpredictable, self-serving, and capable of change when it serves them. Manipulation is no longer a threat. It is a window into desperation, a glimpse of someone attempting to control you because they recognize your value and feel powerless. Most men live at the mercy of feelings. They are carried by emotion like leaves in a storm. Their decisions dictated by anger, fear, or hurt. But a fortress mind converts emotion into intelligence. Anger signals a boundary that has been crossed and deserves attention. Pain exposes truth that may have been hidden behind smiles, apologies, or false promises. Fear signals opportunity. Fear reveals the edges of your comfort zone, the space where growth and power reside. A fortress mind does not simply endure life. It interprets life. It sees patterns where others see chaos. It predicts behavior where others are surprised. It recognizes that the friend who gossips about others to you will inevitably speak about you in the same way. It knows that the person who disrespected you when they thought they could get away with it will do so again unless boundaries are enforced. It observes without judgment, learns without attachment, and acts without hesitation when the situation calls for it. Training your mind into a fortress requires discipline, awareness, and repeated practice. It starts with pausing before anger consumes you. When a comment cuts too deep, pause and ask yourself, what does this reveal about them, not about me? It starts with examining pain instead of drowning in it. When someone disappoints you, step back and analyze. What truth am I missing? What lesson am I being offered? How can this experience make me stronger? It begins with questioning fear instead of succumbing to it. When fear grips you, don't retreat. Ask, what opportunity lies on the other side of this discomfort? What growth awaits if I act despite this fear? A fortress mind does not mean a life without feelings. It does not mean you become cold, emotionless, or detached from reality. You still feel anger, disappointment, hurt, and joy. But these feelings no longer control you. They no longer dictate your actions, compromise your decisions, or weaken your influence. Logic replaces impulse, strategy replaces reaction, and influence replaces vulnerability. You become someone who can observe the chaos around you and remain calm in the eye of every storm. You become the steady force while others spiral. You turn obstacles into intelligence, setbacks into fuel, and every attempt to destabilize you into a lesson in human behavior. Most men have minds that fracture under pressure. They crumble when reality doesn't conform to expectation. They let their emotions create illusions, distort perception, and limit potential. You, however, are building a mind that sees clearly, reacts strategically, and thrives under pressure. You are constructing a fortress that no external event, no person, no manipulation, and no unexpected outcome can penetrate. Every setback becomes a case study. Every criticism becomes evidence. Every emotional trigger becomes an opportunity for mastery. Your thoughts become tools, your emotions become instruments, and your awareness becomes a weapon. With a fortress mind, you no longer fear chaos, you command it. Imagine the power you hold once your mind is fully fortified. You walk into any room with calm authority. Criticism no longer stings, because it no longer touches the foundation of your confidence. Disappointment no longer surprises, because you anticipated it and planned accordingly. Challenges no longer intimidate, because your strategy is stronger than any obstacle. Your actions are deliberate, your reactions are measured, and your influence extends naturally, because it stems from unshakable internal power, not external approval. You see the truth of people, situations, and yourself without distortion. You make decisions rooted in clarity, guided by reason, and executed with precision. You are untouchable, unstoppable, and unshakable. This is not an overnight transformation. It is a daily practice of observation, reflection, and deliberate choice. Every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you analyze instead of assuming, and every time you act with strategic intent instead of emotional impulse, your fortress strengthens. Your mind becomes more than a shelter. It becomes a weapon, a command center, and a sanctuary of strength. In this state, you control your life because you control your mind. You influence outcomes because you understand patterns. You protect your energy because nothing outside can disturb your core. Comment this affirmation and internalize it. My mind is a fortress. My thoughts are tools. Say it not as a phrase, but as a declaration. Make it your mantra, your daily practice, and your unwavering truth. Let this commitment become the cornerstone of your transformation, because mastery of the mind is the foundation of mastery over life. When your mind becomes a fortress, everything else follows. Master the power of silence. The loudest man in the room is almost always the most insecure. He talks to fill space, to cover uncertainty, to distract from his own doubts. He argues, explains, and over-justifies because he fears being misunderstood, overlooked, or seen as weak. His voice is not a sign of strength. It is a mask for his vulnerability. Every word he utters is an attempt to control perception, to demand recognition, or to convince others that he is more capable than he feels. You, however, will take the opposite approach. You will understand that true power does not announce itself. True influence is quiet, deliberate, and strategic. You will learn that silence is not absence. It is a weapon, sharper and more effective than any argument. Stop over-explaining. Stop justifying every decision. Stop engaging in debates that do not serve your purpose. Every unnecessary word you speak is a concession of power. Every explanation you give is an invitation for someone to challenge your authority. Every debate you enter is a battlefield where your energy is drained, your focus is diverted, and your influence diminishes. Silence, on the other hand, commands respect without effort. Silence cultivates intrigue. Silence forces others to fill the space with their own assumptions, their own interpretations, and their own misjudgments. When you speak sparingly, each word you do choose to speak carries gravity, impact, and precision. When you refuse to over-explain, people automatically assume depth, strategy, and intelligence beyond what you reveal. Your silence becomes a lens through which others perceive your mastery. Machiavelli, the master of strategy and understanding human behavior, said, "The lion does not need to roar to be respected." Consider this carefully. The lion commands authority not because it boasts, brags, or proves itself to every challenger. It commands respect because its presence alone communicates power. Your presence, like the lion's, will speak louder than any words you could utter. The room will notice you. Your weight will be felt. Your authority will be acknowledged, all without a single unnecessary sound. Strategic silence is not about withholding information from fear. It is about conserving energy, commanding attention, and controlling influence. Silence also protects you. It shields you from regret, because words once spoken can never be taken back. It shields you from emotional triggers, because by not reacting impulsively, you deny others the satisfaction of manipulating your feelings. It shields you from unnecessary confrontations, because not every provocation requires a response, and not every challenge demands engagement. Observe more than you speak. Wait patiently for the right moment. Speak with precision when the situation calls for it. Let every word be deliberate, impactful, and weighted with intention. Your silence becomes a strategy, a tool that shapes perception, controls outcomes, and positions you above those who rely on noise to feel powerful. The effect of your silence is profound. Others will underestimate it at first, because they are accustomed to noise. They will try to provoke, to push, to draw you into their arguments. But when you remain unmoved, their frustration becomes evident. They will reveal their true intentions, their insecurities, and their weaknesses, simply because you refuse to feed their narrative. Your silence forces them to show their cards, while you remain unexposed. Your quiet presence fills the room with authority, while their words echo aimlessly around you. People begin to wonder what you are thinking, what you are planning, and how much control you truly possess. They respect what they cannot easily predict. They fear what they cannot control. They are drawn to the depth that your silence implies. In practical terms, this means you must consciously resist the urge to defend, to clarify, or to prove your point to those who will never understand. It means stepping back in situations where others attempt to provoke you emotionally. It means observing conversations and interactions with the intent of understanding patterns, motivations, and character, rather than reacting. Strategic silence is not avoidance. It is a demonstration of superior control. It is the ultimate form of self-mastery, because it signals that your energy, time, and attention are your own, and you choose carefully where they are invested. Begin practicing this today. In meetings, conversations, and even casual interactions, notice the space between words. Let others speak while you measure your response. Respond only when your words serve a purpose, when your voice amplifies your authority, or when speaking is unavoidable for influence or clarity. The quieter you are, the more your presence is felt. The less you explain, the more your actions speak. The less you argue, the more people assume mastery. Unpredictability becomes influence. Mystery becomes respect. And respect, once earned, cannot be taken lightly. Comment this affirmation and internalize it fully. My silence speaks louder than their noise. Let it be your mantra, your constant reminder that influence does not rely on volume, that power does not depend on constant justification, and that authority is cultivated in the quiet spaces between words. Let this principle guide your interactions, shape your presence, and transform the way the world perceives you. In silence, you find control. In restraint, you find power. In observation, You find the knowledge to act decisively. Let your silence be your shield, your sword, and your signature. Transform setbacks into power. People will disappoint you. Allies will choose their interests over loyalty. Business partners will betray trust. This isn't pessimism, it's reality. Disappointment is data, not defeat. Most men crumble because they expect perfection from others. You will thrive because you expect imperfection and leverage it. Every setback teaches who is trustworthy, who is self-serving, how to protect your time, energy, and ambitions. Disappointment fuels strategy, not bitterness. Remove toxic influences, practice patience, and turn failures into lessons. Survive disappointment repeatedly, and you develop resilience beyond measure. Comment this affirmation: I convert setbacks into strength. 5. Silence critics through mastery. Uncertain men argue. Confident men excel. Don't waste energy proving critics wrong. Instead, achieve results. Show undeniable competence. Let success speak. Critics are irrelevant unless you allow them to be. Machiavelli said, overwhelm criticism with excellence. Focus on your craft. Let envy disguise respect. Stop debating. Start performing. The results will speak louder than any words. Comment this affirmation: I silence critics with achievement, not argument. 6. Control your image. People form opinions within seconds. Most leave it to chance. You will own it deliberately. Your presence tells a story. Your boundaries are visible before tested. Your competence speaks for itself. Be consistent under pressure and praise. Be reliable, excellent, and calm. Your reputation is a weapon. Guard it, shape it, and wield it strategically. Comment this affirmation: I control my reputation. My presence commands respect. 7. Make excellence a habit. Excellence isn't occasional, it's daily. How you act in invisible moments defines your destiny. Waking up early, doing what's hard, upholding standards when no one is watching. Discipline builds strength. Comfort breeds mediocrity. Your consistent habits forge an unshakable foundation. Machiavelli said, fortune favors the disciplined. Let others choose easy. Choose effective. Let others choose pleasure. Choose strength. Let others settle. Choose excellence. 8. Become unstoppable. Combine all pillars. The man who conquers himself is unbreakable. He doesn't need validation. He controls his life. He is selective in attention and influence. Nothing external can disrupt his trajectory. Challenges will come, but you are ready. Critics will speak, but you are prepared. Doubters will doubt, but you are unstoppable. Machiavelli said, he who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. You've transformed. Your uncertain self is gone. Your mind is a fortress. Silence is your tool. Setbacks are fuel. Reputation is managed. Discipline is ritual. Excellence is habit. You are now unbreakable. You are unstoppable. Claim your life. Own your influence. Take your place.